the term of a contract. So how do we know when contracts start and finish? Seems pretty simple, and in many cases, the term is simple to understand. However, in many cases, the term is not simple at all. So let's start with that basic, simple idea that there's a definite term. There's an effective date or a start date to the contract. It's not always the date of the signing. You can agree in a contract that the contract will start in the future, and that start date is the effective date of the contract. And then there might be a termination date. And it would look like this. So maybe we have a contract that starts on April 1st, April Fool's, 2017, and ends March 31st, 2020. So we have this basic, definite term, 3-year contract. We know what's going on, not a problem. But maybe there's an auto-renewal feature. So we like the contract, and we're going to let it repeat at the end of that contract. And so we're going to allow there to be an automatic renewal of 1 year for this contract. Now, you might ask, why not just do a 4-year agreement? There can be lots of reasons, and auto-renewals come with features frequently that answer that question. The auto-renewal can also continue for an additional year, so you get effectively a 5-year deal after each subsequent annual renewal. So what are some of those features that might affect the auto-renewal? Well, one is that it renews at the option of one party. So one party might have the option to renew. So this is part of the exchange of value, is that one party is going to have a unilateral right to extend the contract if they choose. And in that case, it would look like this. So we have our initial period of April 1st, 2017, and then on March 31st, 2020, the organization A decides it wants to renew. And so it renews again for a year. And then at the end of that year, March 31st of 2021, A extends the contract yet again for another year. But then at the end of 2020, they stop the contract from renewing. Notice that B is simply dragged along. B has no way to stop this auto-renewal because it's a unilateral right of A. And because of that, the contract now becomes a 5-year contract, and A stops it after the second renewal. You could also have a renewal that renews automatically unless one party terminates it automatically. And in these situations, there's often a prescribed mechanism or technique or communication channel for communicating that termination as well. So both parties have formal notice. And in this case, the contract renews automatically. So A doesn't have to do anything, B doesn't have to do anything, but A decides on its own that in 2022, it simply wants the contract to end, and it communicates that. Notice that B may not want the contract to end, but that doesn't matter because either party has a right unilaterally to terminate the contract in this case, even though it has this auto-renewal feature. This is closely related to an evergreen contract. These are not as common, but an evergreen contract is where the contract continues indefinitely until one party terminates the contract. We might not specify an end date at all. The contract will simply go into the future, and then one party can terminate it really at any point. The contract might specify a minimum period or an initial period, but this idea that there's an indefinite term and then either party can terminate the contract is what's typically thought of as an evergreen contract.